Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Signal, the weekly show where we curate the latest news on the future of work, AI, and technology. This week, Andrea and I have the pleasure to welcome a good friend, Nova 111 winner, and dear client, Pablo, who is the co-founder and CEO at Karumi. Welcome, Pablo, to Signal. How are you?
Thank you very much. Very good.
Where are you calling from? New York?
I'm calling from New York, and it's 8:30 in the morning. So.
Yes, nice. Early wake up. I thought you were in SF last week or a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I was in SF. I go from time to time. But our offices, our headquarters are in New York.
Nice. And I believe you also have a small office here in Madrid, right?
We have a small office in Madrid as well, yeah. So our plan is to have a presence in both countries.
Nice. Maybe as a super brief intro, can you kind of in 30 seconds introduce yourself and your background, like where you come from and what, and then we can dive deeper into Karumi?
Yeah, for sure. Let me give you a brief intro myself. So my name is Pablo. I'm originally from Madrid. I studied industrial engineering in Spain with Ramón, by the way, in ICAI, and then I went to France as well. And I started my career in consulting, BCG for a number of years, 4 years in total. And I started as a generalist consultant, but then I moved very quickly to the data science and engineering side of BCG. So I was working for BCG Gamma, now X, for a number of years as well. And that's where, I really got very interested into AI. Back in the day, so 2017, 18, 19, that was traditional AI. So random forest, the forecasting, not at all generative AI. But it was already, I could see that it was already like transforming operations at companies. So at some point I decided to go to the US to do my master's, my MBA at MIT. I got a fellowship. So I ended up at MIT. And something very cool happened during my first year there. And it was that ChatGPT came into the space. So I landed on the campus of MIT on September. And then in November, ChatGPT came into the scene. So I was like, wow, this model is going to transform the world completely. So I started taking a look at YC companies that they were doing the winter batch of 2023. And that's where I found my previous company, Stack AI. Stack AI, it's a no-code workflow orchestrator, of AI agents. So it's a company that's helping other companies build AI agents. And by the way, it was acquired by Asana very recently. So I reached out to the founders when they were finishing Y Combinator. I was still doing my first year of the MBA. And I told them, hey guys, I want to go to San Francisco with you and just start building the company. So that's what I did. I reached out to Bernard and Tony. And then I took a flight and then ended up in an Airbnb with them over the summer, coding. So I started doing code. I started as a founding engineer, and then I moved to the CEO position, really handling all the implementation for customers. So that's what I did with Stack AI for 2.5 years. And I also met my co-founder, Tony, another Tony, when I was at Stack AI. And that's where we got this idea of building Karumi. We were constantly getting pulled into sales meetings and also into marketing meetings to discuss about what are the latest features, how to explain them, what's cool about them. So at some point we thought that this could be automated with an AI agent that could understand a software product and then be able to just explain it. So we applied to Y Combinator. We got accepted unexpectedly, so it was really out of the blue. And then in September of last year, we started building the product.
I would say it's not out of the blue because your background, I know you better, of course, but it's impressive. And before we go into Karumi, let's stay on Stack AI for a minute. Like, how was the decision of leaving kind of a YC venture-backed company that was growing fast? How did you make that call to then go and build your own? Because I guess it was not an easy decision.
Yeah. No, it was not easy at all. But at some point, so I was there for 2.5 years. I really helped build the product and scale the business. And we were at a point where
it was not autopilot, but it was already PMF. And the company was growing, we were getting more customers. I was more on like a management role. And I really wanted to get back into building mode. I mean, I remember that summer with Stack AI in San Francisco in that Airbnb, coding 24/7 almost. And that was really the moment that I can remember as the most exciting moments of my life. So I really wanted to get back into building mode. And I also met my current co-founder, Tony. That was a perfect fit for me. So, and he wanted to launch something. And then the third point was that we could see that the pain point that we were trying to solve, or we wanted to solve, was really huge. Like, I mean, to give you a sense, so I mean, Stack AI, we were shipping features every week because we were using AI. Every business or every software companies in the world this is going to happen to them. They're going to be shipping so many features that everyone in go-to-market, they're going to get kind of lost on how to explain, how to do everything. So we could see like a big trend there. And then we applied to Y Combinator, we got accepted, and then it was a no-brainer.
It's incredible, but I was wondering, you said product market fit was reached in the previous endeavor. What were your clear signs of PMF? Because you mentioned clients, but when you had that feeling of, okay, PMF is reached, because sometimes you see some metrics going up, but you're not quite there. So when was the realization, you would say?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there's two components. The first one is you need to have or to feel a very big pull from the market. So people really, I mean, I remember at the beginning that we were not following up with customers too well, but customers were saying, "Hey, I want to meet with you. I mean, I want to buy this. Like, how can I get this into my hands?" So that's when you see that there's a product market fit, that the market wants something that you build. So that's the first component. And then the second component is that pilots started to convert into annual commitment. So it was not just like a hype or like a tool that you wanted to try for a few months and then you churn, no? So both components were super important for us to understand that we were into the right direction and that there was PMF.
The number of the transaction with Asana was disclosed, 75 million, which is a lot of money. How happy do you think is your former team, your colleagues, yourself? I guess you still have equity, right? Probably from Stack AI. Yeah. Like, is it a good acquisition? Is it too early, or what's the rationale of selling now that you were guys growing fast, low churn? Does it make sense for Stack AI to sell this early, or could you have made it to 10x, maybe a $1 billion company?
But I mean, yeah, you never know, no? So, and this is something very personal as well, the decision to sell or not. What I can tell you is that, and it's public, the transaction was in cash. So every early employee got like a big chunk of the reward. And that was super important for the founders as well, to make sure that the early employees got
cash in their hands, no?
Exactly.
To justify the effort, no?
Exactly. To justify the risk reward of that. So that was important. Also, I mean, the good thing is who acquired Stack AI, no? And Asana is a company that is already selling to many of the customers that Stack AI was striving to get. So Stack AI was traditionally more like a mid-market enterprise. So enterprise, but then in enterprise, there's like the Coca-Colas of the world, and then there's companies in the middle. So Asana is going to help Stack AI get into the next level very fast. So that was exciting. And also the reward was exciting as well.
Very nice. Let's dive deeper into Karumi then. For anybody that hasn't seen your website, basically what you're offering is a 24/7, any language, anytime customer representative, or kind of an agent, no? That would basically demo any software product for clients in any language at any time, right? How do you couple this? Like, is it substituting AEs? Is it complementing them? How's the play for for your customers? What are they doing? Are they replacing, or how is it working for them?
Yeah, so we see Karumi as an AI product expert that understands your software or your platform very well and is able to communicate it to customers, to prospects, internally as well to your company. So that's really where we see Karumi bringing the most value as something that is going to complement existing AEs, existing sales teams, or support teams. And we see that because currently there's this pain point that I was talking about before, where current teams cannot handle the demand and they cannot meet customers when they really want it. So we see Karumi as a way of extending the team for people that go to your landing page. They want to understand your product. Maybe they are not ready to meet with sales, and the static videos on the landing page that doesn't resonate with them. That's where Karumi fits very well. Karumi fits very well as well when you have AEs in deals and they want to share a link so that more people in the company get aligned with understanding of the product before making a decision. Karumi shines very well when you want to increase adoption in a company and you want more people to use your product as a sort of like an onboarding solution. So that's where Karumi shines a lot.
We should use it, Ron.
We are already talking actually with Pablo to potentially include it. So basically the experience is that I click on a link and I jump on a video call like the one we're having now. Like this will be produced on YouTube, but we are now on a Google Meet. And basically there is this agent, like the one we have now recording, that would basically be able to speak and share a screen and show me around, right? Is that more or less how it works?
Yeah, exactly. So we see it as the next big interface. So the first interface was a chatbot, right? Where you can get things in writing. You can ask things in writing and then get things in writing. Then voice showed up. At the beginning it was, through the phone, or it was like voice to voice. And now we get this new interface where there's voice and there's video as well. So the agent is sharing the screen and then showing you around. So it's not like you have to understand a product through text, which is very cumbersome. Okay. You really understand how products work by watching a video, sort of like a video. And you can interact with them through chat, through voice, and have a richer experience, I would say.
And the agent would simply kind of, if you ask a question about a certain feature, the agent will go to the feature and show you how it works, and like kind of give you everything that a great AE would give you. Like, do you see any differences, or is there any limitation?
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna show your product as your best sales consultant or sales engineer. The ones that really are doing the demos, technical demos. So it's gonna show you around, and then it's also gonna know a lot of things about you. So the good thing about having AI is that it can have a long-term memory that is huge. So you can dump all sorts of like technical documents, blog posts, previous transcriptions with customers, all of that, so that the agent is really very much aware of the customer that he has in front of it, and then can also adjust the conversation and then focus on the features that the customer wants the most. So it's not just like reactive, it's also an agent that is proactive, and it tries to help you and show things that you might be interested in.
It's very cool. I mean, you might spill over into customer support as the next iteration, maybe, because I love that you present as a product expert, not as a demo expert, because it really can be expanded into everything related to product. So very exciting.
I can feel that pain about AEs not always being, or even CS not always being on top of the latest features. I think that makes a lot of sense, because I can see then Karumi evolving exactly not only into an AE that does demos, but actually into an agent that helps anybody inside or outside the organization to know the product better and keep up to date. Very cool.
maybe, I mean, this is more a founder's question. I'm generally curious, Pablo, because I think the case of, the Stack AI exit, it feels like you might sit in a sweet spot of size of exit, full cash, where the founders hasn't diluted too much and hasn't stressed too much, because I think there is a gap in between after Series B to whatever exit plan where you work very hard, but you diluted yourself. So maybe at the end of the day, the net return is similar. When you look at Karumi, what is the journey ahead for Karumi? What you envision for this company?
Yeah, no, I mean, for Stack AI, I mean, at some point you have to think that, I mean, it's like in the Matrix movie. So either you take the red pill or the blue pill, and the red pill is go to IPO and then 10 years, 20 years, and that's the only way out.
Exactly.
Or you can be in the sweet spot that you mentioned, Andrea, and cash in, leverage the distribution of Asana, and then
Move
jump
next.
into building your next venture. No, so it's a tricky. What I can tell you is that for Karumi, we really want to go to the IPO. Now that Tony and I, we have sort of like the
You got some money in the bank, no, not to stress, from the Stack AI, no.
Exactly, we have like a good reward from our times at Stack AI, and now we want to really do a home run and build a category defining company that we think we have a good chance of doing it.
Which I guess is also what YC fosters as a mindset, and I think you have a strong brand behind you that I think will open many doors. Cool. No, good luck on that journey.
I know you don't share too many figures because it's early, but in this, you have been with the company 9 months, right? Not even, or 8 months, something like this. How big is the company right now? How many team members or clients or revenue and order of money do you want to share with us? How much money you have raised, for instance? I think that was public.
It's not public yet, so there's not much information public yet. But I can tell you that we're working with Fortune 500 companies all the way to startups, and we're growing a lot month over month, customers wise and also teams wise. So we need hands to support the growth. There's a lot of interest for sure in this category, and then we were excited with what's coming next.
I know for a fact that you have been hiring a bunch of Novas to your AI teams and FDEs. So yeah, you're well equipped to keep growing fast. Moving to more kind of AI related questions. There's a lot of discussions these days on where's the moat, in the application layer and in the everywhere. And there's a lot of this saying recently that the models are not any longer the moat because you can get almost frontier level intelligence for a dime on Chinese and open source models. You as a founder, and I guess as you pitch to investors for your seed round and the next phase of Karumi, like where do you think is the moat for you guys, and how do you think about competition and defensibility?
Yeah, I think the moat. I mean, of course, there's different there's different places, in the value chain in AI where you can build a moat. So you can be a model provider and then have a moat. You can be in the infrastructure and then have a moat, and you can be in the app layer where we are at and also have a moat. It doesn't mean that it's not possible. And in the application mode, in the application layer, what we see is that the last mile is very hard. So for specific use cases, such as the one that we are at, relying entirely on large language model or foundational models to do that is super hard. So be able to have an agent that understands a software product very well, and then is able to communicate with a prospect via a video call, with voice, with clicking, with all of that, all this orchestration and making sure it doesn't hallucinate, it doesn't go off rails, and all of that is super hard. So, and that's why we're building in space. If it was easy, we would have taken another path and focused on another use case. But the last mile in the application layer is where all the value lies. And for that, you need an army of forward deploy engineers to really understand the use case, to really understand the edge cases, to really understand how to embed into the systems of the customer, and then have a very, very talented engineering team to make it happen as well. So,
are you guys then using, I guess, not much frontier models, but actually cheaper models, I guess, no? Because I guess in order for the unit economics also to work, if you have to pay the FDEs, the tokens, the customer success, no? I guess that probably, you're not probably using the latest models, or are you?
Yeah, so you have to pick the models that fit best your use case. Okay, in terms of latency, cost, are they good at math or not? Are they good at conversational experiences or not? So, of course, it's not like one model fits everyone. So you have to pick the model. But one of the learnings of YC is as well, do things that don't scale. So we really don't focus too much on unit economics. We focus on building something that people love, and we'll figure out unit economics down the road. So it's not like we are building Flash at the moment, but the priority of the company, and that's something that YC insists a lot. There's a famous essay from Paul Graham on it. Is to do things that don't scale. So focus on what's the pain point, how to solve it, how to make people really love your product, and then you'll find a way to profitability, hopefully. So anyway, people in YC are building hotels in the moon. They are sending GPUs to space. So I'm sure they are not thinking too much about unit economics. You need to do the calculations for the long term. So you have to be strategic about, but not stress too much in the short term.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's great advice. And maybe one last before we go into the news. On my side, maybe you have more, but I'd love to hear a bit of your thoughts that you have, both the European perspective, but also the YC and US perspective on the job market. No, how are you feeling the job market? Are you more the bullish that you believe, humans will still have a place, or now that you're touching AI with your own hands and you're seeing the capabilities and what you can build, are you more bearish and believe, a lot of people will be unemployed? What's your perspective?
Yeah, well, my perspective, of course, it's very nuanced and it's hard to know. And there's people doing research in this topic that I'm sure they know way more than me. But my take on this, if I think long term, I'm a very big believer of the vision of Elon Musk and these guys. So I see a world where we're gonna get into Star Trek, or I don't know if to say Star Wars, but really being a civilization that can do much more than what we are currently doing, and really enter an era of full abundance, and really reaching places that we cannot even imagine today. So, and for that, of course, we need to stop coding as we were coding 5 years ago, and spending time doing debugging and writing lines of code ourselves. So that's why I think AI will position ourselves into a new era where we're gonna reach more things. I don't know what things, because it's if you were to ask, people 200 years ago, what would happen when a car or a plane was around, no one would know what would happen after that. So I don't know what's coming, but I know it's going to be very exciting. And if you watch science fiction movies, you understand that or even Iron Man, for all of that, you need a lot of tooling and a lot of productivity tools to get us there, because that technology is really hard. So that's where I see humanity going towards. And the tricky thing is the rate of change. So AI is accelerating a lot the changing of roles, or the need to learn new skills very fast. And that's what gets me a little bit worried, is that there's going to be a lot of people that they're just not used to pick up new skills so fast. So that's what's that's what I think. But it's a pain that I'm sure there's going to be plenty of startups solving in education, in reskilling people, all of that. So if you see, if you see the history of the world, every time there was a problem, there was a solution that was developed by humans. So I'm confident and positive about humanity.
Yeah, I think there was a sentence I read this week from the CEO of NVIDIA that was reflecting on the purpose and the task of the job, where he said that the purpose and the job of the task are related but are two different things. So today, a software engineer's task is to write code, but the purpose is to solve problems. So the more you automate the task, the more you can expand on the purpose, which I think is a brilliant way to envision it. And I'm also very bullish on what's ahead as we expand purpose and delegate tasks. So
yeah, 100%. It's a very good opinion. It's the first time I hear it, but I think it's a spot on.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
The transition, as we have discussed already in the show, on the redistribution of wealth will be where some of the tricks, and more of the complex part. But I think we are all optimists in this call, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be founders. So let's jump onto the news of the week. So here, Pablo, we basically bring stuff that caught our mind, our eye, and we thought, it's good to filter that for our audience and what's, relevant versus what's not. Of course, the whole discussion of the week is Fable 5. So basically, it was released just a couple of hours later where we record this same show a week ago. I was like, fuck, it's a pity that we couldn't discuss it, I used it for a couple of nights, and, it was very intelligent, but then the US government banned it. Initially for foreigners, but then quickly Anthropic said that how can I know that Pablo is living in New York? How can I know if Pablo is a US citizen or not? Like, should I? And then now nobody can use it any longer, which is, I believe, in my opinion, is the first time where the whole Anthropic ethos is being challenged, because they were the good guys, right? That same, last week it was actually Dario issuing this policy on the AI exponential, right? So basically, at the same time, the same company is telling you, we need great, trustworthy companies to bring you into the AI era, But then at the same time, I'm releasing a model. That model apparently has some kind of jailbreak, where those guardrails they had put on Mythos don't work, and they were unwilling to fix them, right? Or that's what the sources I've read say, which is for the first time saying, okay, maybe it was not Sam, maybe it was not the bad guy. I don't know. What's your thought, guys? Any reflections?
I mean, the rumors is that it were actually Amazon employees who identified this jailbreak and they flagged it to the authorities, which is funny because Amazon has shares into Anthropic. I don't think it was intentional, of course. I think they've tried for many weeks to make Mythos as publishable as possible, working with large enterprises. So I don't see a sign of evil. I think what made me reflect the most is that there is a moment where, for whatever political reasons, countries put a ban. And imagine we are European without having built our own LLMs and foundational model. Then if your economy runs on AI, but you don't control such examples, then it starts to become very tricky. I think it was more of a wake-up call also for Europe to say, if things go bad, we can be disconnected.
Really have Mistral.
Yeah, not Mistral exactly, which has to maybe catch up. I haven't used it. So I think for me, that was more the reflection, but I'm sure it will be back up online as soon as they find a workaround. But yeah, it was a bit shocking for the first time seeing a government putting the boundaries on nationalities. So yeah.
It's funny is the Amazon guys, no? Because the Bezos is, and probably, I don't know, he's a bit of an enemy or frenemy of Elon. I don't know how is his relationship with Anthropic. I thought they were kind of friends, but interesting.
No clue.
Sorry, Pablo, you're going to say something.
No. I was going to say that, no, it's a good reflection from Andrea. I think that, and we're going to see it more and more. Having those tools really is like a competitive advantage for any country. So you can see it with China, the US, you know, this like new Cold War that we are at. You can see that, and I also fear for Europe. Yes, I mean the good thing is that we have Mistral, and maybe at some point we have a Spanish company developing foundational models. Hopefully,
with ambitious founders to do that. Pablo, what's the feeling in SF that I've been there in this Anthropic versus OpenAI? No, because OpenAI was the leader, then the Anthropic guys kind of have been killing it since late 2025 with better model, faster shipping, outstanding hiring. No, they hired the CTOs of Workday and Instagram, and now the Karpathy, who was actually a co-founder of OpenAI, where OpenAI was in the midst of the battle against Musk, and you know this whole thing not growing as fast. What's the feeling there? Like, are people moving back to Codex or not? Like, what's the feeling in the YC batches that you're part of?
well, the feeling is that, I mean, the best model, no, will always win, and that those labs need to be very, very focused on developing or improving those LLMs, and then making them or creating use cases or tailor them for use cases that are, I mean, creating the product as well. So not only the LLM, but also the product. And I think Anthropic did a great job at doing that. With co-work, with a Claude code, all of that, they were very easy to use. I mean, all those plugins that you can put in Excel, in DocX, so all of that, I mean, they were super clever in doing that, so that the adoption on Anthropic models skyrocketed. So I think that was what maybe OpenAI missed a little bit, but the feeling in San Francisco is that that's normal to happen. Like the good thing about California in general is that there's you cannot put a clause of non-compete in an employee contract, and that was really, I mean, there's some theories that say that was one of the reasons why California thrives so much in technology, because there's people from OpenAI that go and open Anthropic in a better way, and there's no restriction in doing that. So that's why you see those huge, innovative, and very forward-looking companies coming out of California. It's because there's no restriction, and then you know the best product, best technology wins, and everyone is sort of like okay with that because it's for the best of everyone. So I really like
meritocracy.
Yeah,
it's a big difference in it. In Europe, sometimes you get asked to sign NDA when somebody shares just the idea they're working on. You know, we're such another.
Honestly, it makes no sense. And in California, you know, if you have a competitor that is better than you and has a better product, then you say, okay, kudos to you. Like, can I work with for you?
I'll go back home and build a better product.
Yeah, because there's no like so the feeling of maybe like closing your company or failing or having to shut down your company is not so dramatic as to trying to put all the regulation, all the laws, everything to protect your castle. Like there's no such thing in California. Like the priority is making a great product that benefits humanity.
Totally. No, but I think this piece of news is very relevant, as you say, on Europe. But I also believe, you know, OpenAI now has a window of opportunity to regain a bit of the track they lost, because I think we were all buying into the, you know, Anthropic being the good guys, the safe guys, and everything. But the reality is that, you know, I think we are seeing that their PR and their messaging changes to whatever is needed. Because if they would abide by their own saying on June 10th on, okay, we are all in for, save AI and everything, you don't get a product out that then has to be banned by the government. No, so. I'm curious to what will happen, but I believe Sam and the OpenAI team has now a chance to try to gain a little bit of the way back, because I was, they were being destroyed. Basically, I think all of the best engineers, the company to work for was Anthropic. It was not anymore OpenAI for the last few months.
Yeah, and Codex is really good. So we're
And it's
using
cheaper.
Codex.
It's
Yeah.
cheaper, no, for the same, let's say, level of top intelligence, no, or
Yeah,
output.
exactly. So yeah, I guess of course, like the media amplifies everything, and there's
Yeah.
always like this inertia, no, from one company or another. But the reality is more nuanced.
Yeah.
Totally.
Anthropic, even in this case, will be on the headlines. I think it all feeds into them being always on the news. So
They are magicians of PR, totally.
exactly.
Moving to OpenAI, they purchased a nice company this week. It's called Ona. I don't know if you read about the acquisition, but Ona is basically was kind of an IDE on the cloud, and they basically turn it into kind of a safe cloud space where coding agents could code and interact in, kind of unattended in secure sandboxes. And yeah, OpenAI is basically actually going in the direction you mentioned, Pablo, of not only building the models, but giving developers and professionals in general the tools to leverage those models towards more use cases. And so they purchased this company that is more on the, let's say, execution layer, right? So closer to the user.
Yeah.
And it was a cool acquisition. It's the third or fourth week where we announce acquisitions of OpenAI in things that we can probably cast as go-to-market. So they purchased the podcast, they purchased the service, or they created the service provider to embed their models into enterprises. Now they buy these, let's say, coding cloud sandboxes for agents. So yeah, interesting. Apparently, the company was doing something like 15 million ARR, and it was sold for something like half a billion, more or less.
Yeah.
Wow,
30X.
you said 15, 15?
Yeah.
1.5 million ARR, but then they paid a big multiple because probably they were making money, not in need. They were relatively small team, 80 people. 80 people
Wow.
is not too much for 15 million ARR. It's pretty good ratio.
Yeah, fine. 30x valuation. It's big.
What else? Anything on your side, guys, that was relevant or you want to
I think
introduce?
it was curious to see Jeff Bezos coming back into the race. He's 62, among the richest people on earth, and he's taking the CEO seat again. Apparently, he will be focusing more on models that specialize into the work of the engineering, so everything around manufacturing, designing, and I think there is merit to that because at the end, hardware, robotics, and everything around that is quite complex. And I don't think, or at least I haven't heard of a major player that focuses specifically on the engineering issues. So exciting. I mean, he is already worth about 40 billion as he raised 18 billion. So yeah, it's fun to see an old guy, so to say, being back in the AI race, and I'm sure he will, as the great founder he is, bring a lot of innovation for everyone in the space.
He's still in shape, no? He's still doing his what do you call them? Pesas in Spanish. He's lifting weights, no? He's quite in shape, so it doesn't look that old. Interesting. I think he released this announcement on the same day of the Musk IPO, no? The SpaceX IPO, no? So again, trying to not have Musk get all of the headlines. Pablo, did you invest in SpaceX? What do you think about their IPO and the 100x revenue valuation they got?
I mean, it's pricey. I'm a big Elon believer. It's just that I cannot put all my money into AI. So I have already Karumi. So it's like it will be too risky.
Yeah, you have to differentiate.
But it's crazy that even from a high valuation, it was 1.75. The stock popped on Friday at 19%, and apparently, since a lot of or some of the funds of these non-active funds, no, the ones that follow the stock exchange in general, the passive, I don't know how to call them, passive investment funds, need to get into the SpaceX because it's one of the, I think this is one of the 10 biggest companies in the world already. It's number 7, something like this.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a lot of push for the price to even go up, because these funds need to get a significant stake, right? So yeah, good luck, Elon.
It's funny because I read
to grow the company.
They produced 4,000 millionaires, and some of those were blue-collar workers, like the people working in the cafeteria or people in the plants, which earn small salaries, but they also had restricted stock option plans. So it was quite fun to see the redistribution of wealth, let's say.
How many millionaires were they? 4,000, something like
4,000, yeah, a bit more than 4,000 millionaires. And
crazy.
he is now the richest ever with 1 trillion. It's funny because we are closer to Larry Page, who is second, than Larry Page is close to Elon.
Yes, more than 2x basically, no? What Larry has. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Moving back to the robotics thing, I don't know, Pablo, if you know the Thacker guys here in Spain.
Yeah.
Have you met them, or have you heard about them?
Not met them, but I've heard about them. And honestly, kudos to them. Like, they are doing some really hard stuff. So, and they raised like a huge round, and now they have, that money to scale operations and everything. So honestly, kudos to them. That it's happening in Spain is just amazing.
It's amazing for the ecosystem. So for those that don't know Thacker, it's a robotics company. It was created in 2022 by Gia and Carla, who are the founders. I've listened to their podcast on Itnic when they raised last year the biggest seed in the history of Spain, 20 million, which must be something like 80, 100 million valuation, most likely. But now they raised 85 million, getting both VC money. It was led by CRV, but also probably their clients. So they got Samsung and LVMH, the French luxury company. So basically, yeah, I mean, it's impressive. It's probably one of the biggest, I think it's the biggest Series A in the history of Europe in robotics, and probably one of the biggest overall. Like 85 million of a Series A is valuing the company north of 500 million, most likely, or around 500 million. So yeah, kudos to them. It's a lot of money to, hire great talent for their companies to. They're probably gonna get lots of providers to them across the value chain. So very exciting for Europe, because that's the way we create wealth, no? To have unique companies that create proprietary things. And I think robotics is probably the next big shift after LLMs.
Mm-hmm. No, especially in this hardware space, the digital player, software player, we have some great examples in Europe. Robotics is tough, and it's great to see that at least they will attract incredible talent to their companies in Spain, which hopefully will spill over to the region later on. So I see they have more than 20 openings on their website, all technical, of course. So it's very cool.
Super cool. Then maybe I can bring another piece of news, also from Spain, because we had the Pope here visiting. It was cool. And basically the Pope issued an encyclical, which is kind of a narrative document where he kind of explains the position of the church on stuff. And basically it was the first encyclical on AI, which is interesting. And it was basically, the name is something like on safeguarding the human person at the time of artificial intelligence. I haven't read it entirely. I just bring you kind of a summary, but I believe the thesis is interesting. It's basically trying to say that technology is not neutral. Like it's not good or bad by itself, but it's good or bad depending on how it's designed, regulated, financed, and so on. But that he's kind of reminding us that as we build technology is not a means to its own end. It has to mean, as we have discussed already, better world, better experiences, us humans doing more relevant stuff, getting to higher levels of wisdom, of whatever. And I think it's interesting that that the Pope is positioning himself and the church here, because he was also not kind of worried either or against tech or AI. He was, guys, we just need to, as we have history has always done, make sure that these technology is used in the right way, and is that for the better of humanity in general. And I believe that that's how we probably, and as we discussed before, we all see it. But we have to be careful about, dignity of work and, how are we, creating also distribution and wealth for those that maybe are not being able to leverage LLMs as probably the ones in this column.
Mm-hmm. No, it's cool to see that the church take positions on very relevant topics for humanity, and not necessarily from a God first narrative, so to say. I like the principles and values. One element that I read this week that brings us back to the skills gap and the education that also Pablo mentioned earlier. I haven't read that before, but China in the last 4 years has revoked about 30% of the nation's offering education program. So they made it obsolete, about 12,000 undergraduate programs, mostly focusing on humanities, which I don't think necessarily is a good place where to cut, but they've replaced that with everything around AI, robotics, engineering. So it's interesting to see that at the governmental level, in these past 4 years, they've been super active in shifting the supply of talent. I don't think, at least in Italy, I haven't read of any proactive decision on shifting the shaping of the talent workforce. And I think it really shows where we are heading, where government that moves fast on these things will produce an advantage, because it's a shortage that we are all facing.
It's super relevant.
Yeah.
I was discussing this actually last week. I don't know with whom, but I think it was with a journalist in the South Summit. But basically, I think in Spain and Latin countries, we have this belief that the purpose of university is to preserve knowledge. I think that's no longer the case. The purpose of uni should be to get people ready for the job market. That's, in my opinion, what, it seems a bit utilitarian, but that's how I really believe that's the purpose of university. And the reality is that there's in Spain, you have a zillion people graduating from things that are not really that useful in the job market. And that only creates a lot of frustration, because people believe that they study history or whatever other anthropological or humanist degree in Spain, and then it's just going to get 5,000 euro per month in a nice job. And that's not the way the world works. So, I believe you can learn about humanities and you can learn about all of those things if you want as a side thing. But if the market wants AI engineers, let's just do more, training on how to use AI and less on the rest.
Yeah, or even if the market wants plumbers and electricians, which are now super scarce,
exactly.
It's much better you prepare for that. Then maybe there is a disclaimer where you can say, if you study this is how the job market looks for you. And if you are someone who loves knowledge and wants to be a philosopher,
but why should we pay it for you, right? I think that's where the tricky part comes, when I have to pay for something that is not good for the economy. And I think a lot of frustration of the 15M movement that we had in Spain, so the one that started on the left, the extreme left in Spain, was around this frustration of people studying things that didn't give them a job. I read this thing about Spain now producing, I think, kind of almost half of a given population born in a certain year. Half of the people get a university degree. But the reality is that Spain doesn't have that need of that many university graduates. We need much more plumbers and other stuff. No? So I think we have to also socially change the stigma against those blue-collar jobs, that in other economies, like in Germany, they are not better or worse than those that go to uni, right? So interesting that China can do this. I would love Spain to do this. It's almost impossible. Right, Pablo? You probably
no.
You agree with me.
Education is not a lost cause in Spain, but it's something that deserves way more attention and care. It cannot be that every 4 years, the full academic program changes for the worse, and then it's easier and easier to get good grades and then pass from one year to another. Like, it makes no sense. As a society, we should not incentivize that. And what you're saying about professional education, or I don't know what's the name in English, but like plumbers, electricians, all of that. The stigma there is something that should not be there for sure in Spain. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. There's so much value that can be created by electricians and all of that. That's
actually where we will have the hardest time, having AI doing the heavy lifting. I was in London last week, met this guy who started as a plumber, and then he built a digital business where you basically have plumbers showing up at your place any time of the week. Digitally, you book them. They come in a short amount of time. They are paid by the hour. So it streamlined the entire process from finding a specialist and fixing your job whenever. It got acquired by KKR for 300 million euros because the margin of the business were insane. So this plumber created an immense value. And if I think about Italy, plumbers, as in Spain, it would be like, oh no, I refrain from that, which is...
It's a pity. Anyway, let's wrap it up. Pablo, what do you take with you from this conversation at Signal today? Any reflections, any learnings?
Well, that the future is exciting, that Spain has a lot of talent, that we are, as Karumi, benefiting from that. So many of our founding engineers, they are from Spain. We are from Spain as well, and we came here to the Americas to find the opportunity. But that the space is very exciting. Humanity is getting into a point where, the technology is very exciting, but everything that we say about humanity is thinking about the consequences. What you said, Ramon, about the Pope, I think those are discussions that are worth taking a step back and thinking about it. What's the purpose of putting those AI models out there? Who is benefiting from that? Are inequalities increasing and decreasing? Does access to this technology matters? And I think it does. And Ramon, I know that I went to Africa last summer to teach
with some Nova computers.
With Nova computers, by the way.
Nova computers with local, models locally, no? So they didn't have to connect to a Starlink to get them running, no?
Yeah, very small models that we installed locally in the computer so that people in Africa, in a place in Benin, could at least access LLMs and ask things. So I think those things are very important, and going forward, it's good that we take a step back and think about that as well.
No,
very cool. On my side, I would say that, as Pablo was saying, the best learning from YC is that you just do things that don't scale and build delightful products. I think that's where, what we as early stage entrepreneurs should focus on before thinking on unit economics and other stuff. Just make a great product and then you'll figure things out. I think that's a great learning that I bring back with me, because I'm always the kind of person that starts thinking about the future. Look at how you finance this, how does this scale. Just don't think about the 1 to 100. Think about the 0 to 1 and nail it. Yeah. Thanks, Pablo.
No, for me, to add one reflection, I think is related to the solution being more and more at the crossroad in between business and government, because it was a week where we saw government shutting down progress and innovation and accessibility, which maybe relates to ethical and everything we discussed around the encyclica, but also seeing the Chinese government taking a lead in AI, but then is not by accident. They have been for the past 5 years reshaping their education model in the background. So I think reflecting on how we can open constructive dialogues with entities, which of course can be surpassed, but at the end, if you want systematical change, they need to be included. And I think how we influence government as founders, it's an interesting question. So it's good to have that in mind.
Cool. So thank you, Pablo. We'll follow your journey at Karumi. We look forward to keep sending you engineers. And we'll follow you. Thanks for joining today.
Of course. Very good chat. Thank you, guys.
Bye, Pablo.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.